Mm. Make sure to spectate. PZ, we can't go until you spectate, apparently. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13. I want to welcome you here to the 7th round for this season of X3 on F1 2021. As we prepare to get underway at Austria at the Red Bull Ring, 19 drivers will be taking to the track today. And folks, we're closing down the season relatively quickly. It's only an 11-race season. We're looking at a season that's as short as, the good old days of the 60s and 70s, where people almost had no care for their lives and the car development was at its peak. Today, though, that's not really what we're looking at. Thankfully, fictional racing series, you don't have to worry about people dying, but you may have to worry about cars dying. There is a risk of rain in today's event. In addition to that, there are several drivers who have told me in private that they're experimenting without running traction control. Typically, the first 2 or 3 times people try to run these races, especially here with no traction control, it leads to a lot of issue. You've got a lot of long straightaways going into heavy braking zones, and then you come back out, you need to get immediately on the throttle instantly. Making sure that you have a good ability to put the power down is essential in surviving and thriving in today's race. Anyways, joining me in the broadcast booth today is PZ, French my man. PZ, it's great to have you back. You got to broadcast the X1 race last week. How'd that go?
Yes, well, that did start well enough, but for some reason, this game decided to boot me and Zol out of the booth with absolutely no way to go back in. So, commentating a race but missing the last 2 laps when we did have some action. We did some good duels up and down the grid. For some reason, we just got cock-blocked by the game, which doesn't feel too right. But yeah, for today, the Red Bull Ring, 10 turns, fastest lap RL by Valtteri Bottas in 1 minute 2.939, set in 2020. So as you said, really fast track, a lot of heavy braking zones. Do mention as well the fact that there's a lot of, let's say, tricky zone to put the power down. And I'm mostly thinking about the exit of turn 3, which is pretty tricky. And if you're telling me that we have a chance of rain during the race, we can expect a lot of people spinning at the exit of turn 3.
I won't lie, this is honestly one of my favorite tracks on the current Formula 1 calendar. This is actually one of the few tracks I think that suit the modern era, or the hybrid era. I don't know about the current modern era because we've not gone here yet in 22. But this track suits the hybrid cars very well in my opinion, because you got a lot of straightaways, but they're not excessively long. They're more acceleration focused than pure top speed focused. And when you have the turbo that kicks in relatively early, you have the V6 and you have the hybrid system, coupled with DRS for the sheer ability to showcase the car's rate that they can go from 0 to 175 miles an hour. I think this is one of the best, if not the best track on the circuit for that.
I mean, you pretty much said it what this track is. Mostly straight lines. A couple of heavy braking zone. I can think of maybe turn 1, what I would call turn 2, but apparently from the FIA standpoint it's turn 3. Turn 4 as well is also a heavy braking zone. And I'd say I don't know if I can properly call it a a medium speed section between turn 5 and 8, which is basically I'd say the middle point of the track.
Yeah, no, you make a great point, because that bit there from the end of Sector 2 to the start of Sector 3, it has elements of low speed corners, medium speed corners, and high speed corners. Depending on how good of a run you get, you can run side by side through all of those corners without issue. You've seen it happen many times before. It even happens in real life there. As Call It Boy now goes to the top of the 104.877. But at the same time, like, there is aerodynamic focus there. You need to set up your car so that way you have good aero grip there, and you can't just throw your car in there all mindlessly and think that you'll be fine. You need to be careful with the throttle application. It's a really, really nice set of corners that just looks like a... Never mind.
It really does force you to really train and perfect your throttle sensitivity. And I'm gonna say this as at most point of the track, because there is also a good chunk of elevation change, which also I do think give this track a lot of character.
Yeah, I think the most significant one is turn 3. Should be turn 2, but turn 3. When you brake and then you're making the turn, you're almost turning the car uphill. All the momentum is going off at a 90-degree angle away from you, and you're trying to muscle this really heavy car around a relatively tight corner uphill, then put the power down efficiently. It's very, very challenging.
Yeah.
And then you go uphill very quickly, and then you're rushing back down into turn 4 within a DRS straight that's perfect for a game side-by-side overtake. Yeah, the elevation change really gives a lot of great personality to the circuit as well. I fully agree with you.
And the thing is, with turn 3, you're going uphill. As soon as you pass the apex, you're going downhill. But the fact is, it is at the end of an heavy braking zone, so I mean, all the weight of the car is at the front. If you do crank that steering wheel to the right a little too hard, the back's gonna spin on you. No matter the way you put the throttle down.
Yellow flags in Sector 2 and 3. That would be one of the Alfa Romeos who are pulling over for a moment. Speaking of which, we do have XRL Dragon. Dragon is a veteran for the Realistic Series. His future is still a little bit up in the air regarding if he's going to continue with XRL into the next game, although it's likely that he will continue. But he's jumping in today as a reserve driver, trying to get used to running without assists.
At the entry of pit lane. Somebody must have lost their front wing. I saw bits of blue, so I do expect... what teams are running blue? So maybe an Alpine or Red Bull? Oh, I see... Oh, no. I see a Haas F1 car with its front. So Cali Boy did have an incident with somebody else.
Alright, so what I do want to try and do before a session is too far over is spin a lap on board with someone, but everyone's already in the middle of a lap or just starting. Constant Jet coming out into the circuit. Constant Jet in the Alpine has absolutely taken over the #1 spot on that team. He has been bringing home significant points hauls almost every single week. Last season, we were just being thankful whenever he could make the top 10. Now, he has become the #1 driver. He is at the rate he's going, he could potentially end up outscoring his main teammate, XRL Jigsaw, in that car, and he is fighting to get AlphaTauri the Manufacturers' Championship. This season has been absolutely tremendous turnaround for Jet, and I would not be surprised if we see him sneak his way into another podium finish today. In fact, what I do want to do, because he is coming around the circuit here, I'm going to go ahead, run silent in the booth, and we'll spin a lap on board with the AlphaTauri Constant Jet so you can really get an idea as to what it's like hustling the car here around the Red Bull Ring. We'll go time for a lap now. And he invalidates in the final corner. It seemed like he was caught behind Exo Flavor going through that turn 5 to turn 8 complex, and it really just kind of broke his momentum, broke his flow, because those last 3 corners he just did not seem to have set up, even with the track clear ahead of him. One thing of interest to note, Exo Veloce is second fastest right now, and he has set that time 104.841 on the medium tire compounds. Schumacher SF7 is going to be coming onto the track shortly, and he also has the medium tire compounds equipped. So the plan for them apparently might be to go soft medium. I've heard 2 kind of tire strategies for a day's race, both of them being one-stops. Either go soft to medium and be really nursing the tires to the end of the skids, or go medium to hard and just be slower overall. Those have been the 2 main strategies for tires I've heard throughout this weekend.
I mean, surely it is a thing about tire compound, but what I'm mostly concerned about is ERS consumption and preservation. Because yes, you do have a couple of heavy braking zones, but most of the track is straightaways. So this is my main concern. Who's gonna be able to use is the RS the best?
Actually, that's a great point, because yeah, you have 3 DRS zones, all one right after another, and all 3 of them come right after a heavy braking corner. And that's the other thing. Due to the way that the balance works between aerodynamic downforce and engine power, DRS is more efficient the farther you go down the straights because you're trying to cut the drag. ERS is more efficient initially coming out of a corner. The more power you can get down early on, the faster you're going to be for acceleration. That's just the way that the physics work. If we were racing on the moon where there's basically no atmosphere, it really wouldn't matter too much, obviously. But that is something to bring up. And then you also have to consider, like I said, there are a lot of straightaways here, a lot of opportunities to use ERS. It can be very tempting to burn it all up. You go side by side with someone to turn 4, and you want to be ahead of them by the time you get to 5, it could be very, very tempting to just go ahead, put a little bit of a squirt on the ERS to try and out-drag them into the 5, 6, 7, 8 complex. You could be ahead, but then all of a sudden you're behind on ERS, and you leave yourself open to DRS attack from behind. There's a Red Bull that has gone off in Sector 3, and that would be Wild Nissan GTR. Wing damage, the left front winglet has been knocked off, and that car is not looking happy. He really struggled getting in the pit lane. Actually, there's one other thing I do want to bring up, PZ, today. This was made a big deal about in the drivers' meetings across XRL before this weekend even started. Pit lane entry is going to be very, very strictly governed this weekend for all the tiers. You are required, if you're coming into the pits, you are required to be inside the white line all the way towards pit entry. If you cut it, you will be given an automatic 5-second time penalty post-race, and it cannot be appealed under any circumstances.
I mean, as I'm on board with Schumacher SF7, I saw where the pit lane entry is on the track. It is before turn 9. So people will really have to be on the inside of at the end of the straightaway before entering turn 9 and really committing. Yes, it is indeed in the plain middle of the racing line, but this is another variable drivers will have to juggle with, to say it well, I was about to say correctly, but not even that. Because the thing is, do you commit if there's someone behind you and you're about to block him on racing line, probably causing an incident? Or do you wait for the guy behind to dive down pit lane and then afterwards go yourself in the pit lane? Do you play it safe, or do you have really the least amount of care for the man behind you?
I mean, I will go ahead and say this, because I am a piece of crap, as XR Dragon finally brings his wounded alpha into the pits. I will 100%. I will go so far as, if I know I'm going to pit and I'm fighting with someone, I will do everything I can in my power to put myself ahead of them coming out of 4. And then I will intentionally run slower through turns 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then be in his way coming into the pit lane, if I can, just to compromise his lap. I will absolutely 100% do that. If I believe that I can harm someone else's race pace more than I will benefit my own by taking the normal line, I absolutely do that. I've done it before. But I am a piece of crap, though. I will 100% admit.
I mean, we've known each other for what 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it's been about 5 years, mate. Actually, I think it's been over 5 years. I think the first time I raced with you was IndyCar Open Lobbies in Forza 7. No, Forza 6.
Forza 6.
Early
Oh,
2017.
that was only a duel between us on the Glen. I do remember that because it was a 30 lap race, and then for some reason, we were still dueling last lap, last corner. I was on the outside, and I think I spun.
Yeah. And we've had lots of other ones also. Never forget the 1990 Indy cars at Indianapolis, where every single lap lead change and the finish was decided by 1,000th of a second.
Yeah, good memory.
Yeah. Of course, neither of us really do as much active racing as we used to, partially due to the amount of time it takes to stay competitive gets really, really rough when you actually live a life.
Well, not only stay competitive, but I switched from a controller to a full-blown sim rig, and the problem is now playing Forza Motorsport, any other game that is not completely arcade, really feels stale on the controller. I really also feel a lot less engaged in what I do. So,
yeah. Well, I do want to go ahead and throw the question out, and then after this, I'm going to turn my focus right back to this. Are you going to run? Do you think you'll be running and racing with us in Forza Motorsport 8 by any chance?
Maybe. I'll see. I mean, if I do buy Forza 8, I will also have to buy another, the Shitbox Series X, because, yeah, old lady is 8 years old.
Yeah.
She really is at the end of her lifespan, and yes, sorry, French language, gendered objects. I know.
Every language has their weird quirks, and I will never stop mocking the French language for the fact that you decide that, you count up to 60 normally, and then you decide to completely go stupid. Alright, well, it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in the session. All 19 drivers have set times. Right now on the bubble is Fratters with a 105.246. CKS Dark Rider and the Ferrari TF Mr. Shark, Boothie 116 and XRL Flavor all on the outside looking in. Flavor and Dark Rider are on outlaps right now, trying to go a bit faster. Boothie, interesting thing, the information's gone now, but he had gone 7 laps on his set of soft tires before pitting. So Boothie went and did a race stint simulation with both the fuel and the tire wear. So if Boothie can make it to the end of this race today, he has a little bit of data that not a whole lot of other people have that could work out well in his favor. But right now, we're making it to the next round. He's still in pit lane. There's a minute and 37 seconds. Well, he just came out of pit lane now. He's going to have to rush, but he's going to have to really rush and hustle to get into Q2. Boothie, one of the best qualifiers in X3, really needs to put the pedal to the metal now to make it happen. Dark Rider, one of your championship contenders in the manufacturer's title, he's only 16th fastest right now, and he needs to find more time because it's not looking good for him. It's really, here's the other thing. It's stupid hard to make your way up through the field here. The laps tick off really fast, and if you're especially in the middle or the back of the field, it is very easy to get caught in the DRS trade and not be able to make any moves.
I mean, if the race on Monza in Italy was done under rain condition in X3, as it was done, I believe, across the board, across the full series, then this might be the fastest race on for this season. If it does happen on dry condition.
Dark Rider now into the top 10, 104.937. So now Fratters is on the outside looking in, and as the Aston Martin to PRUFC. And the bad news for PRUFC, he is invalidated this lap he's in the middle of right now and has only just entered Sector 2 with 29 seconds left. This is it, mate. He needs to hope that no one below him sets a faster time. Fratters is pulled over. He has fuel issues, so now the focus goes to TF Mr. Shark, Boothie, and Flavor. Boothie is down on time at the end of Sector 1. Here comes Mr. Shark out of the final corner. It says he's down on time at the end of Sector 2. Yeah, Shark's not able to advance, so now it's up to Boothie and Flavor. Can either of them squeeze PRUFC out? The time's up in the session. Boothie's up, but it's only by 46 thousandths. He needs to find a bunch more here in the final sector. Will one of the top qualifiers in X3 not make it out of Q1?
I'm watching XRL Flavor right in front of him. Across the line. Can improve.
Ah, no, Boothie down by 1,000th of a second, and PRUFC is in. No, I'm sorry, TF Mr. Shark has another lap he can go for, although he's already down by over 1/3 of a second on this lap, so I don't think it's going to happen. So I think PRUFC is safe. Ah, Mr. Shark, he just set his best Sector 2, but that Sector 1 was so poor. Look at that, the ERS down at 8%. Exactly what you were talking about.
He's down on power.
Fuel is out. But yeah, exactly what you were talking about, Peasy. You gotta manage the ERS properly. Mr. Shark had a great Sector 2, but didn't manage the fuel and properly. He was out of fuel at the end, and he didn't have enough ERS to really open it up in Sector 1 at the start of the lap.
Really the best you can really the best you can do around this track is really your out lap, the flying lap, and then your lap in the box, because at the end of those 3 laps, your ERS reserve is gone.
Yeah. Well, this is the result. This felt like a much longer Q1 than I'm used to. I don't know why. But at the end, Extreme F1, the AlphaTauri is at the top with a 104.438. Then it's XRL Dave in the Haas, formerly known as Dave Ewart. Then it's Schumacher SF7 in the Ferrari, Gussie in the Alpha, Snake in the Mercedes, Veloce in the Williams, Dragon in the Alpha, Collie Boy in the Haas, Dark Rider in the Ferrari, Constant Jet in the AlphaTauri, Herbago in the McLaren, the only McLaren today, Yara Footballer in the Williams, Ocean Lion in the Alpine, Nissan in the Red Bull, and PRUFC in the Aston Martin. The 4 drivers that do not advance, it's a Red Bull, an Aston, an Alpine, and a Mercedes, Flavor, Boothie, Shark, and Fratters, respectively. Oh wow, look at that time difference between PRUFC and Fratters. Exactly the same. That decision between those two for that 15th spot, the final transfer spot, was decided by 10,000ths of a second.
This is what happens when you have a really fast track, when you can clock in laps at such a pace.
Well, not just that. You look at the spread in times from the top to the bottom. Everyone, with the exception of Flavor, was within a second of each other. So, granted, we had 2 people who we know are faster intentionally sandbagging because they wanted to use medium tires, so they have more softs for Q2 and Q3. But still, the field is very, very close together here today, right now.
I mean, and just like I said, this is really the epitome of, I'd say, track where you go around really fast. Because the faster you go, the faster also you can go whether you're at the front of the grid or at the back of the grid.
There is also one other thing you consider about this track. You turn laps here at less than 70 seconds per lap. The lap times are about 105 to 109, depending on how much fuel you have on board and how good the tires are. Lap traffic, unless we have a bunch of yellow flags keeping the field bunched together, lap traffic will be a factor in today's race. Yes, cars who are about to go a lap down are required by XRL to pull over. There is no defend or hold your position on the lead lap. Drivers leading always have priority over drivers who might go a lap down. But it's still something you have to navigate around. You catch those people at a bad place on the circuit, it can ruin your entire flow. In many ways, it makes me think of American open wheel short track racing with how important managing lap traffic is.
Short track, do you mean ovals or also?
Well, I'm meaning mainly ovals.
Mainly ovals, giving example.
Iowa, St. Louis.
I was about
St. Louis is
Gateway.
Yeah, Gateway is St. Louis. But yeah, you're not going to have a lot of time where you have clean air on the nose of that car as the runs go longer and longer. You're going to catch lap traffic. There's simply no way around it. And tire management's going to be so key. Again, some drivers saying run soft to mediums or mediums to soft, do a one-stop, and just nurse the tires. If you're spending a lot of time today, though, caught in someone else's aerodynamic wake. Oh, Herbago has had an incident coming out of pit lane. He's got going again, but a spin immediately. I'm sorry, that wasn't out of pit lane. That was out of turn 1. Right as he was about to start a lap. But yeah, you're not going to have a lot of clean air on your nose very often. I personally would consider running mediums to hards or softs to hards simply because, again, I would rather have good, usable, working tires throughout the race than, have 5 or 6 laps of pace and then just nurse the rest of the way.
And Kelly Boy putting a respectable time at 1:04.543. I believe
Haas 1-2 on the top of the timesheets. Didn't we see that a few weeks ago at Monza?
Yes, we expected Ferrari. Back then we expected Ferrari-powered cars to be at the front, but not these ones.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you're at Tifosi. I mean, Ferrari-powered car is still Ferrari-powered car. This is a win in my book.
Alright, so as it stands right now, it's a pretty much an even split between soft and medium tires. There's a slight advantage to the drivers with the softs. Extreme F1 goes to the top on the mediums with a 104.419. The fastest driver on the softs thus far is Boy with a 104.543 at the moment. Dragon, Gusty, and Pure UFC all in the middle laps right now. Herbago with that spin, he has set a lap, but it was a 125, so it's not really applicable. We'll see what he can actually do this circuit around. But he spun right at the start of his lap, so he's knocked the best off of these tires.
So next man across the line, PRUFC. Mighty lap from the man enough. 4th as Gusty right behind him. Take the 3rd spot.
And now we see Dragon crossing the line. He'll jump up into 9th and 105.270 on the mediums. Herbago coming to the line now. Top 10 advance. Right now, Nissan is on the bubble. No more. Now Dragon is the one on the bubble as Herbago goes 4th fastest, and that's with damaged tires. So he may have a little bit of speed hiding in that McLaren. He just needs to keep that thing straight.
And I believe XRL Dragon is going for another lap. Still in a set of mediums. I mean, at least he can do that on another set of mediums without losing too much. Maybe improving. I think I saw him improving at the end of Sector 1. Ugh. That is
Schumacher now in the middle of a lap, and we're going to see Ocean Lion and Veloce starting their laps shortly here. Also, that is something else to talk about, and we'll talk more about the championship fight in the interim between the end of Q3 and the start of the race. The championship fight at this point has basically become Schumacher versus Veloce. There are other drivers who are mathematically in it, but these two have been showing up every race, and they have been putting on the best pace race after race thus far. It's pretty much Veloce versus Schumi for the Drivers' Championship. Neither of them really anticipated that they would be in this position at the start of the season. But they're both trying to go for it. In fact, I've talked to Schumi. He has said time and time again his focus is on the Manufacturers' Championship, not the Drivers' Championship. But, I mean, if you run really well for your team, the drivers' points will gradually take care of themselves. And he invalidates in the final corner.
2-1, exit 10. 104.578 would have been 3rd.
Third, yeah. But because of where it happened in the final corner, it's so close to the start-finish line that not only invalidated that lap, will automatically invalidate his following lap as well. So now he has to burn more fuel and waste these tires going around again just to try and get a lap in. And that's assuming he wants to stick with those set of tires. He might go ahead and have to come in to put a different set on. Snake now crosses the line. He's going to try and set a time. He is on the medium compound at the moment.
Lexar Veloce across the line. New fastest lap, 104.232.
And that's on the soft tire compounds. I do think that Extreme F1 might potentially be a bit faster, though, considering that Extreme's time was set on the mediums. But single lap pace right now, Veloce at the top. So the focus now goes to the Mercedes of Snake, who is diving through Sector 2 right now in the Mercedes. Veteran of X3, nearly won the championship in F1 2020's first season, and that was a bit more than a year back. Then ended up just kind of stepping away from racing for about a season. He's come back now and trying to get back into championship contention. Not happening this season, but in about a month and a half's time, new game, maybe new possibilities for him.
Also a new cost to adapt to.
Yeah. And he invalidates final corner also. And that's going to be something else to consider, though. The new game, we're going to have a new physics engine, and you're going to have brand new cars. The handling's going to be way different. Apparently, there's now actually a serious effort to laser scan some of the tracks this season, as opposed to, and that's someone off there in Sector 2. Who was that?
That's an Alpine.
Yeah, that's Veloce.
While Nissan does improve by a tenth.
But Nissan is still 13th at the moment. But yeah, what I was saying was, there's going to be a lot of variety, a lot of variables going into the next game. I would not be surprised if we see drivers in all three tiers get moved up or moved down just because of their comfortability with the new game. I honestly have no anticipation that the drivers we see starting the season in X1, X2, X3 will be finishing the season in those tiers. I think we're probably going to see about 30% of the field moving up or down the categories, just because of how quickly you will or won't adapt. Obviously, the people that will have the biggest advantage will be the ones that the moment the game comes out, they immediately start no-lifing it. They're putting in 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day into the game every single day. They're going to have a great advantage right away. But then afterwards, the ones with the better driver skill and the ones who have a better understanding of how the physics play to their driving style, those will naturally overcome those who just have more time. And we're going to see a very gradual shift as the season goes on.
Too bad Wal Nissan invalidated his lap, because he was in the 104.9. He would have been 10th had he not invalidated the exit of 10.
"13 of our 15 drivers have set times right now. Schumacher is finally getting back on track. He's going to go again. Right now, JR Footballer is on the bubble, 105.111. It's Dragon, Ocean Lion, and Nissan who need to improve their times. Snake and Schumacher need to set times."
Quick question about F122. I don't know if the information is out yet, but is it built on the Frostbite engine?
That's what I heard.
I mean, EA has been
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah. I mean, EA has been developing the Frostbite engine for what? Probably a decade?
I thought it was only 7-8 years at this point.
I mean, Frostbite 3 was out when Battlefield 4 was out, and Schumacher invalidates.
Same corner.
Don't be too greedy, kid.
So your championship leader putting himself at risk of not advancing to the next round. Thankfully, it's clean track behind him, so he can go ahead, back off, and, kind of save the tires a bit. But it's frustrating because you have less than 4 minutes left, and for both him and Snake, you cannot afford to be making mistakes. Snake takes a really, really rough final corner as he begins this lap now. Can Snake get in? Because here's the other thing. Just staying in time is not going to be enough. You need to set a good enough time and carry enough speed through that final corner that you're at least in the 104s. Because right now, if you're not in the 104s, you're not making it into Q3.
I am looking at this. Looking at the time leaderboard, and PRUFC and Concentrate have the exact same lap time in 104.832. Just noticed
that could get interesting because, if Snake and Schumacher put down some good times, there will be a tie once again for the transfer spot. So this could get really interesting. Footballer and Ocean Lion and Dragon all out on track right now, and Wild Nissan is on an outlap at the moment. Snake, 44.9 at the end of Sector 2. 2 more corners left, Snake. You gotta keep it clean through these.
Was not a very fast exit. That's decent enough for full.
Yeah, 104.601. So now the focus goes back to Schumacher. And Schumacher is low on fuel, and this is going to be 3 laps on this set of rubber.
On the exit of 4.
It's a Red Bull. I believe that as well. Nissan pulling off to let Schumacher by. Oh, there's an Alfa Romeo and a Williams. They both pull off. That's not the section of the track you want to be dealing with traffic at.
I really hope he kept the space while having traffic ahead.
He needs to nail these last 2 corners. Don't let the hiccups earlier get in his head.
Safe enough. What is it looking like?
No, it's not good enough. 104.862. He needs to go faster. I don't think he's going to be able to. I don't think our championship leader is going to make it out of Q2. He's going to be out of fuel. And we don't have time. 1 minute, 47 seconds left. Yeah, Schumacher's not going to advance. Ocean Lion in the middle of a lap right now, but this lap isn't validated. Dragon is just aborted, and he is with 1 minute, 29 seconds left. Dragon's not going to advance. It's right now it's between Nissan, PRUFC, and Constant Jet. Jet and PRUFC are both in the pits right now. Right now, it's decided by thousandths of a second between them. Jet over PRUFC. Nissan has just invalidated this lap at the moment. He has 1 minute and 15 seconds to get around and get one more lap in. Can Nissan break in to the top 10? He is the only man right now who has the possibility to do so. Well, no, I take it back. Ocean Lion is on the middle of another lap, so Lion might also try and make something happen. Big twitch out of the first corner for Lion in the Alpine.
As he slowed down, I believe he's aborting his lap. Well, Nissan did improve, but he was in a non-valid lap. He is able to put off a 104.8 or 0.9.
Jet retires in the pit lane. He feels confident. He also knows he can't really get back out onto the circuit anyway. And this is going to get interesting. This could get very interesting. Schumacher SF7 is out of fuel, out of the final corner. He is doing a 2006 Monaco, like his namesake. He has come almost to a dead stop and is throwing yellow flags right there. This is it for Schumacher. This could bring some big penalties, because this is going to mean yellow flags are waving as these other drivers are going by.
He crossed the line.
Wow. This could be big. This could end up with some major penalties post-race.
Well, Nissan crossed the line. That's good enough for 8th. He's in.
Last possible second, but the Red Bull makes it in with a 104.746. Well, that was a session, to say the least.
With possibly major championship implications.
Indeed, major championship implications indeed. Only one Ferrari makes in, and that's CKS Dark Rider, who is only 10th fastest at the moment. 9th is Herbago in the McLaren. 8th is Wild Nissan in the Red Bull. 7th, Gusty in the Alpha. 6th, DR Footballer in the Williams. 5th, XL Dave in the Haas. 4th, XL Snake in the Mercedes. 3rd, Cully Boy in the other Haas. 2nd, Extreme F1 in the AlphaTauri. 1st is Veloci in the Williams. And of note, Extreme F1 and Gusty, they are the only ones who will be starting this race on the medium compound tire. All the other 8 drivers in the top 10 will be starting on softs.
Looking at the pace of Extreme F1 in mediums and placing on the front row, I'm not too concerned about him. However, for Gusty, who will be in the middle of the pack, that'll be another story. But yet again, your top 10, a little bit is... Your top 10 is within 6/10 of a second.
Also, here's the other thing. From 1st to 15th, all within 9/10 of each other. And the 5 drivers that will not advance will be Constant Jet in the AlphaTauri, PRUFC in the Aston, Schumacher in the Ferrari, Ocean Lion in the other Alpine, and Dragon in the Alfa Romeo. Okay, so I just got word officially. There is no rain actually anticipated in this race itself. They're anticipating a dry race from start to finish.
Then I think we can call this the fastest race for this season.
I don't think so. I think we're almost guaranteed to see a lot of yellow flags going off of past precedents. These races are normally very chaotic.
Yes, you're right. I forgot this. This is X3.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure eventually we will have the magical X3 race that will go start to finish without a yellow flag. I'm sure of it. We've come so close to it so many times before. And we've had it in the realistic series at France. And that series is twice as long and normally ends up being a lot more chaotic. And we had it there. So I guarantee it will happen eventually for X3. Monaco does not count, just heads up, because Monaco in this game is glitched.
And of course it had to be Monaco.
Yeah. Well, right now we're waiting on someone, obviously, to ready us up into the next round. Don't know what the holdup is at the moment. Also, for those of you who are interested, same duo, PZ Fringe from and I, we will be doing the X2 broadcast a little bit later tonight. That will be at 8 p.m. UK time, so nice. We had to do it twice here.
I mean, there was nobody for the booth this weekend, so
Yeah.
I was like, should we go?
I will say that is... Yeah. I mean, I ain't gonna complain. Thankfully, while Indianapolis 500 pole qualifying is on today, that's not gonna start until about midway through the X2 race. So I will probably have that stream up in the side while watching the race itself. But that's gonna last way longer than the race, so I'm not too worried about it.
Do you think
If they still had bump...
Do you think I can spoil the result of the Spanish Grand Prix that happened today?
Nah, typically you don't want to.
Oh.
Well, you could, maybe. I don't know. It depends on who is watching and who isn't watching. I know some people are really touchy about it, but some people have no issue about it whatsoever. So, I know most of the drivers have already seen it, but I don't know about people watching.
Alright, I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, apparently we're waiting on Boothie to get going. Yeah, we're waiting on someone who stepped away and decided to not, be kind enough to get things readied up. So we're going to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
A very long time. Yeah. Well. Well, I will go ahead and talk a little bit about what's going on in Indianapolis, at least. So, because there are only 33 drivers trying to run in the Indianapolis 500 this year, all 33 drivers are automatically locked in. This year, though, because there's no bump day, we are doing for the Indy 500 similar to what Formula One does with qualifying. They're doing a 3-stage section for qualifying. So, all 33 drivers have set times yesterday. The top 12 fastest times will go out later today, and they will set another lap. The top 6 out of those 12 will go out for what will basically be a Q3 to run for the front 2 rows. The drivers that will be running in the glorified Fast 12 or Q2 session today, from the fastest to slowest, will be Renus VK, who is running with the Ed Carpenter team, Patricio Award running with the McLaren team, Felix Rosenquist in the McLaren team, defending IndyCar Series champion Alex Palou with the Ganassi team, Tony Kanaan, who is doing a one-off with the Chip Ganassi team. He's won Indy 500 in 2013 and is a 2005 Series champion. A 7-time NASCAR Cup champion, Jimmy Johnson, who has also won at Indianapolis 4 times over. But in NASCAR's Ed Carpenter in the Ed Carpenter team. Marcus Ericsson also in the Ganassi team. Roman Grosjean with Andretti. Scott Dixon, who won the Indy 500 in 2008 and is a 6-time Series champion. Will Power, who won the 2018 Indy 500 and is a 2014 Series champion. And Takuma Sato, who is a longtime Formula 1 veteran from the good old days. He has won the Indy 500 in 2017 and 2020. Finally, we're about to get underway for Q3 here at Red Bull Ring. 10 drivers trying to get the best bloody starting position possible. And the first one out on the circuit right away is Extreme F1 in the AlphaTauri. I think, all things considered, I think Extreme F1 is going to be a potential lock for the pole position. I think it will be Extreme F1 and Veloce for the front row without issue.
Can we expect somebody else will be able to shuffle with? I was about to call. I'm gonna call them the front row guys.
I really don't think so. Nothing against anyone else here. But while there are a lot of people who have shown pace and ability, I don't think anyone else has the pace enough to knock Extreme F1 and Veloce off the front row. The only way that happens is if those two end up with a lot of invalid laps or just poor laps and they're not able to properly capitalize. But if Extreme F1 and Veloce get a proper good set of laps in, I think they're a lock for first and second today. Oh, and now Haas! Yeah, that's Dave. Dave has had a spin and turn 9 and is stalled right at pit lane entrance. He'll get underway now. Thankfully, he didn't get disqualified, but he was coming up to do a flying lap, and now it's going to be a very slow lap, to say the least, so not great for the Haas team. Oh, and he's around in turn 1!
Yeah, tires are too hot. You'll have to bail.
And here comes the Mercedes.
Oh, really?
Snake gets by without issue.
The problem is with these breed of cars, when you spin, your rear tires are way too hot to grip, to give you any kind of grip at all. So all he has to do now is a really slow cooldown lap to preserve the tires and make them cool again, or at least bringing them back in the right temperature window, and that's a 104.186 from Extreme F1. That is the fastest lap of the qualifying session of today.
So that's the time that everyone else is going to be gunning for. Oh, Veloce! What in the world? Did he just have an accident?
Probably on the exit of 10, the rumble strips. Probably bended it. Yeah, because
and that will have major championship implications as well. Yes, that's exactly what happened. So one title contender doesn't make it out of Q2. The other one is going to start 10th from an accident. Well, that makes everything a lot more crazy, to say the least. And now the spot for the front row that opens up, because Veloce, I was at least expecting him to be a lock for P2, and now he's locked into 10th. This is going to get really interesting all of a sudden. Also, I think that's our first outright crash DNF we've had in this session of qualifying. We've had instances, but most people have been able to continue.
I believe it is. Because
yeah,
most of the time we see yellow flags after 1, 2, 3. It's mostly people going so slow. Marshals are waving the yellow flags. But yeah, you're right.
Nissan's invalidated this lap. Footballer is invalidated this lap. So it's Urbago right now who's in the middle of the lap.
The only one that is on a decent lap, as far as I'm concerned, is extra Dave. The 130 is cooldown lap time.
Nah, 130 was because of that spin, remember?
Yeah, and also the fact that he was trying to cool down his rear tires, and that is a 104.905, which is enough for third.
Herbago goes 5th with a little 5.360. So the focus now goes back to Nissan and Footballer. CKS Dark Rider in the Ferrari camp still on pit lane. As is Gusty.
Really seeing a lot of cars on the exit of turn 1, kind of losing the back end.
So then the question becomes, are they losing it under braking, or are they losing it under turning, or are they losing it under acceleration? Because depending on where their rear end is having issues, that can tell you significantly about what the setup is. If you're losing the rear end under braking, obviously you could have a braking issue, but also could be a downforce issue with the rear of the car not playing well with the front downforce. If it's in turning, there's probably a mechanical grip issue, and because you're so slow in turn 1, I don't think it's an aerodynamic issue. It could be, but it's not likely to be. If you're losing it on acceleration, that just means you probably need to get good with applying the power.
It is not a downforce problem, and neither an acceleration problem, neither deceleration or turning in. It's mostly where people. It mostly consists of what racing line is, because you can open turn 1 as much as you want and as much as you can also, but the fact is, if you have your inside tires on the racetrack, the grippiest part of the track, but you have your outside tires on the rumble strip or that green stuff that I believe that is AstroTurf, the problem is here. If you're a little bit too rough on the re-acceleration, you're going to lose the back end, because the level of grip between the left and the right side of the car is not even.
And it doesn't matter how good of a tire compound you make if the surface that the tire is racing on is... Oh no! And that's right at pit lane entrance as well. I can't see a view of it, but Nissan with an accident. So that's 2 cars who have crashed out in the final round of qualifying. Christ alive.
Well, at least he's not on a racing line. Real me, JR football.
Oh, Gusty was caught off guard by it and completely bottled the exit of turn 9 because he was so surprised. The lap is still legal, but it's not going to be properly fast. And he's going to have a lot of grass on those tires now. And this lap won't be a whole lot better either. Boy, want to talk about really randomizing stuff. Right now, Collie Boy is looking like he could walk out of here in a great position, starting front row. In fact, I'll go ahead and say this. If Collie Boy gets a great jump at the start of the race, he could potentially out-drag Extreme F1 into turn 1, get by him, and the entire race could be turned on its head. If we have a way slower driver leading the race for the first few laps when there's no DRS, everything gets really, really weird.
I believe we haven't seen it all so far, because I've seen lap times I've seen lap times posted between the lap times of Extreme F1 and Cali Boy, so between the 104.1 and the 104.6. So I believe not everyone has posted their fastest lap.
Boy, they're running out of time to get another lap in. CKS Dark Rider in the Ferrari camp still has not come out onto the racetrack. And we only have less than 3.5 minutes left. Now, granted, you can get a lap done here in less than 70 seconds, but you'd want to get out there sooner rather than later. You don't want to be caught in the glut of cars rushing out last second here.
Cali Boy and GR Footballer back in.
Alright, and coming in the party right now is Wild Nissan GTR. Nissan, go ahead and include your audio. Nissan, great run in Q1, great last minute run in Q2, accident in Q3 coming into pit lane. What happened?
Just on a cool down lap and just went on curb too much.
Well, right now it says that you're 6th, so it's likely you're going to be somewhere between 6th and 8th, 6th and 8th, 6th and 9th position. Do you think you can turn that around and maybe get that Red Bull on the podium?
Hope so, but you know, never know what might happen, so just have to see how the race goes.
Alright, well, thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. It's a shame to see you knocked out of qualifying like this.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers.
Alright. Yeah, Gusty and Dark Rider have finally come out on circuit, so we're going to see Gusty what he can actually do, hopefully. And Dark Rider will finally get a lap in. Extreme F1 is also going out trying to go faster, so this could get very interesting. Could Extreme F1 break into the 103s? I don't think so, but it's worth talking about.
Never say never, as Extra Snake did improve and went to third fastest with a 104.893 with the Mercedes. So the next man across the line will be, I believe, JR Footballer. Invalidates his lap, and surely the next one, yeah.
And Cowboy comes into the pit, so now the focus goes to XRL Snake, and then after him it will be Dark Rider and XRL Dave.
Snake did improve again. Oh.
Cowboy retires in the pits. Here comes Dark Rider, and behind him in his tow is Dave. 104.580, that's good enough for second. Dave, though, still at 6th right now with 104.905, and there's 30 seconds left in this session. Herbago is going to make it to the line just enough time to get another lap in. We're going to have 7 cars on track trying to go faster here. Extreme invalidated that lap, but he's going to try and go at it again. Ooh, that was a cut in turn 1. I'm shocked that was still registered as legal. Gusty now up to second, 104.571. So yeah, absolutely the fight is for a second. Extreme F1 pulls out of his lap. So Extreme F1 says, hey, I don't need to go faster. He's not going to push harder. So the fight is for second. Gusty and Dark Rider and Snake gunning for second fastest. Ah! Thankfully no one is coming, so he doesn't have to worry too much about it. Here comes Dark Rider to the line. Dark Rider up by a bit of time at the end of Sector 2.
Is this
not the greatest final
second
corner.
row? Yes, it is.
104.45. How's Gusty going to respond? Gusty's invalidated. And Snake is in the pits. Footballer had it at the spin, so unless Herbago's invalidated also. So there will be a Ferrari on the front row, but it's not the one we were anticipating. Well, that will bring us to an end in this session. Front row will be Extreme F1 and CKS Dark Rider, AlphaTauri, and Ferrari. So your Manufacturers Championship fight represented right at the front. Second row will be Gusty and Collie Boy. Third row will be Snake and JR Footballer. Fourth will be Dave and Wild Nissan. Fifth will be Herbago and XRL Veloce. And here's the thing, Veloce starting 10th, Schumacher in 13th. Now all of a sudden Schumacher is like, hey, if I can just catch Veloce and be right behind him or stay ahead of him, and we both finish in the points, I can maintain or increase my points lead against him. Championship-wise, everything has become a lot more tenable for Schumacher and a lot more rough for Veloce. But they're both starting mid-pack, and there's a high risk of incidents on lap 1 or lap 2 here. Also, you file an entire group of 19, 20 cars into this really narrow turn 1. It's going to be difficult. So anyways, also the other thing to consider, this is kind of interesting, the spread in times in the final round qualifying way bigger than what we saw in Q1 and Q2. Only the top 7 are within 3/4 of each other. Nissan and Herbago both well over a second off of Extreme F1's time. So Extreme F1 definitely waited to showcase his true speed, but when he does, I think everyone now has a reason to properly fear. In the case of Dark Rider, his goal is just going to be to try and out-drag Extreme F1 into Turn 1 and try to hold alongside of him and just drag race him as long as he can to compromise his lines. You don't want your manufactured championship rival to be ahead of you. And also, while we're at it, let's go ahead real quickly and look at the championships as they stand right now, because we're going to have about a 5.5, 6 minute break until we get to the start of the race itself. Also, X1, 104.2 was their pull time. So we had a faster pull time here in X3 than they did in X1. So that's interesting. Alright, when it comes to the championship, manufacturers, Aston Martin is only staying on 3 points right now in 10th. Alpine is 9th in a tie with Red Bull for 8th. They both have 20 points each. 7th is Mercedes with 46. 6th is Alfa Romeo with 49. 5th is McLaren with 70. There is a tie for 3rd between Williams and Haas. They both have 89 points respectively. 2nd is Ferrari with 114 points. 1st is AlphaTauri with 124. Then you look at the Drivers' Championship. 23rd is TF Mr. Shark with a single point thus far. 22nd is Plastic Love with 1 point. 21st is Boothly 116 with 2. There is a tie for 19th between Flavor and Fratters. Only 4 points each. Flavor has not been having a very good season in X3 thus far, to say the least. 18th is AK Herbie 53 with only 5 points. 17th is SFR Shoe 381 with 6. 16th is Collie Boy with 7th. 15th is Exit Spot with 8 points. There's a tie for 13th between Mantic Meerkat 77 and Ocean Line. They both have 11 points. There's a three-way tie for 10th in the Drivers' Championship between Wild Nissan GTR, JR Football, and Pure UFC 1012. All three of them have 16 points. Then we start getting to your serious hitters. XR Snake is 9th with 28 points. 8th is CKS Dark Rider with 35. 7th is XR Augusta with 47. 6th is Constant Jet 1141 with 49 points. 5th is Herbago with 59. Then you get into the guys who are in championship contention. 4th is XR Dave with 67 points in the Haas. He is an outside threat for the championship right now, being only about 16, 17 points out right now. Veloce is 3rd with 73 points, 10 out of the points lead. 2nd is XR Shikari. He has 75 points, but he is not attending today, so this is likely going to be bad for his championship hopes. Leading the championship right now is Schumacher SS7 with 83 points. So it's still close at the top. Season got shortened from 13 races to 11 races. I got to talk with Zola, and yes, that is officially the case. It's been shortened to an 11-race season because of how much earlier F1 2022 is coming than anticipated. So 4 races, 5 if you want to count today, and it's still relatively tight at the front. This could get very interesting. Also, apparently for Extreme F1, that pole position, that's his first time he has ever gotten a pole position in a league event. So, great job on his part, mate. Good job. That's what we like to hear and see.
Especially mentioning the fact that he is a reserve driver. As far as I'm looking at his standings, the highest ranked reserve driver is PRUFC, who is in the tie for 10th spot. And PRUFC did 3 races, as much as Extreme F1. Still racked up 16 points for the team he was running for. Still decent results.
Also, real quickly, I want to go ahead and look at the tire compounds race for everyone. At the back, Flavor, starting 19th. He is going to be starting on medium tire compounds. Dragon in 15th is starting on medium tire compounds ISO. Everyone else is starting on softs, with the exception of Gusty, who's starting 3rd, and Extreme F1 starting on 1st, and those two are starting on medium rubber as well. So this is going to get really, really interesting because we only have 4 people on alternate tire compounds, and there are people right at the front or right at the rear. So yeah, this is going to get very, very weird very quickly. We're normally used to seeing a lot more people playing the gambling game, but I'm guessing a lot of people in the end are settling on either a soft hard or a soft medium strategy for this race. Of course, the best laid plans always go immediately to hell the moment you immediately start implementing them. No plan survives contact with the enemy. I imagine we will see people making 2 or 3 stops throughout the race just due to maybe the way yellow flags fall or damage. Alright, getting ready to go underway. This feels like it's been a really long qualifying, but we're finally about to get underway for the race itself. I'll be focused on the front. PZ, if you see anything significant at the back, go ahead, cut me off immediately. You know
Yes,
the drill.
sir.
There we are. We see the lights. 4 lights. 5 lights. It's lights out! Away we go here at the Red Bull Ring! And Extreme F1 is easily out-dragging CKS Dark Rider into turn number 1. The Ferrari tries to make a line, can't make anything of it. They're 3 and 4 wide farther back. It looks like everyone's got through without too much issue. But Herbago ran way off circuit to try and protect the car. He's now stuck in a 3-wide position as losing out. He falls from the top 10 all the way to 12. He tries to throw it up on the inside of Constant Jet, but he has an Aston Martin on his inside. There's contact all the way through. There's a Mercedes going off track. That's Fratters. He now gets run off circuit. It's a glut of cars, all fighting for about the 9th to 14th spots. And there's another similar glut farther up in about 7th through 8th.
Veloce on the mission, already 3 spots up.
And Schumacher, on the other hand, on a bad run, immediately falls right back to the 16th position. So it's not gone well for him. Herbago now making his way back up. He's into 11th once more. Contact behind. Fratters goes around and spins off the circuit. He's not the only one. Wild Nissan, who had a top 10 qualifying position, but crashed out in Q3, now has had another accident. The front wing is gone off that car. The good news, though, we stay green, and Nissan with a 10-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. An immediate rough start to the day for him.
Which is quite stupid, because he was in the gravel pits in the exit of the turn.
So now look at this. We're seeing a bunch of DRS trains, or what will turn to DRS trains with DRS enabled, already forming across the entire grid. But Extreme F1, in about a lap and a third, already has a 2/3 second gap over Dark Rider. Dark Rider has tires that will be a little bit faster for the moment, though, so he'll be able to keep pace for the time. Gusty is kind of the wild card here, because Gusty is running 3rd on medium rubber. We don't think he has the same pace as Extreme F1, but he's going to be closing in on Dark Rider sooner rather than later, simply because of the way the tires will ache. Veloce has recovered up into the 6th position. He is running right now behind JR Footballer. Dark Rider is just at the fastest lap of the day, 106.835. And again, those times will inevitably get faster as these drivers burn off their fuel load. These Formula 1 cars are extremely sensitive to weight. Veloce, really bad run in turn 1 and actually falls way out the back of Snake. Now it's going to bring JR Footballer up to him. But Footballer is trying to hold off Dave, fighting between a Williams and a Haas. Dive bomb by a Haas into 3. It's another DRS run, but both of them have DRS. Look at this. There's Herbago. He's still trying to make moves back up the grid. There's Constant Jet as well.
With both Aston Martins at the door of the points right behind PRFC and Boothie 11th and 12th respectively. But they have some catch up to do.
Herbago also in an interesting scenario. He has underfueled that car for this race, so he needs to figure out some way to save fuel between now and race end. Now again, we're anticipating there will be yellow flags. Historically, this is a very accident-heavy race, so yellow flags are almost a guarantee, but he will obviously want to start saving fuel as soon as he can. McLaren looks to the inside at 9, can't get alongside. This is going to get interesting because Herbago's right there behind Footballer, and Footballer has DRS as a defense. Do you make a move into 1? The answer, no, not yet, but now Footballer is right there behind Dave. Dave has lost Veloce once more.
Herbago will have the advantage as he is on the inside of the track. Really even on the
drag race McLaren versus Williams. So who has the better arrow? Doesn't matter! Big accident by Herbago. Car jammed up into the air, and somehow he's still alive. The car will be able to continue if he's not beat. No, he's beached! The car is beached. He can't move. It's beached, I think. And that is a full course safety car. There we are. He finally gets moving. the full course safety car after Herbago and JR Footballer make contact, and Herbago with a gigantic impact on the inside wall.
Thankfully, he did not broke a wheel off. That's only a front wing.
And Dark Rider pitting out of the second position, so he wants off those soft tires as soon as possible. Snake also pitting, so he wants off those tires as well. But no one else really seems to be interested in pitting near the front, at least.
And Dark Rider going for mediums. And
as is Snake. The good news for this is Wild Nissan, who was at risk of going a lap down, is now going to be able to catch back up to the rear of the grid. Also, this promotes Schumacher back into the points. He is now in 9th. Veloce has now moved up into the 4th position, though. So in the championship fight, Veloce has a big upper hand right now.
Well, he has a 10 points delta for him as it stands. So right now, if the race ends with Schumacher in 9th and Veloce in 4th, they'll be even at the top of the board.
Yeah. So Veloce needs to move up some more positions and do it fast. He is 4th, and he is 2nd of everyone on the soft tires that the started on. I think the big interesting thing is that we only saw 4 drivers go ahead and pit under that yellow flag, and 2 of them, Pure UFC and Herbago, they had damage that they were trying to fix. Dark Rider and Snake jumping onto a really, really bizarre alternate strategy. And it's going to get really weird to see how that plays out. So at the rate it's going, we should be going green at the start of lap 7 here. Look through the field real quickly also, just to see how everyone is when it comes to fuel mileage. Schumacher SF7 still needs to save a bit of fuel, but he is caught up to the back of the grid, so he doesn't have to worry too much. As longer this safety car goes on, the better off he'll be. Look a little bit farther down the grid. CKS Dark Rider also trying to save fuel right now. And Herbago has actually gotten to the point where he doesn't have to worry about fuel. Fratters has to pit now, so Fratters coming into the pit lane. He had spun on lap 1, fell near to the back, and now he's pitting again. They're getting off the soft tires and throwing on a set of mediums for him. And this is a strategy call. I mean, you're already at the back of the grid. I guess I understand what the heck does it hurt, but he'll have to rush to catch the back of the grid because he's going to be about 20 seconds out by the time he comes out of pit lane. Alright, so at the front, Extreme F1, Gusty, Collie Boy, Veloce. Those are your top 4. Veloce has recovered already, I would say, from his accident in Q3, and he is now ready to start fighting for a potential race win here. No word yet. Safety car not coming in this lap, I guess? That'd be kind of bullcrap. Everyone with the exception of Fratters is caught up, but yeah, we're staying under yellow for another lap. Alright.
I mean, the Mercedes was way too far when the pace car, yeah, when the safety car was at the entry of pit lane. So in a sense, I do kind of understand why.
Well, this means, though, that this yellow flag has now gone on long enough that everyone is good when it comes to fuel to the end of this race. Also, everyone now has recovered their ERS totally. So, and we still, despite that big hit that Herbago took, we still have all 19 starters running on the racetrack as well.
So looking at the grid, we do have 12. I was about to say 12, no, 11 drivers. So half the grid have improved from the starting position. The biggest mover up being Boothie, 10 spots up from 18th to 8th.
Yeah.
And the tough break goes to CK's Zolgardu, but is it really relevant when...
It was a strategy call, yeah.
Yeah, it was a strategy call, but he still has over 3/4 of the race to climb at least in the points.
Well, we're going to see here shortly, Extreme F1 bunching the field up a bit in turn 9. He gets the control when we go green flag here. Gussie sticking right behind the AlphaTauri, coming out of the final corner to the green flag.
Here we go again.
And we are underway. Veloce, Collie Boy side by side, and Collie's gone around. Collie Boy with an accident coming out of turn 1, and he goes from a top 3 position all the way to dead last with the front wing ripped off that car. Dark Rider is already snuck by Mr. Shark. Oh, but now he gets run. He runs right into the back of Flavor. Flavor was not getting underway. Big multi-car incident coming out of 3, and a bunch of drivers involved. There's a lot of drivers with damage there. Flavor and Dark Rider are the worst of it.
Oh, Freddo's almost losing it in turn 4 in front of Flavor and in front of both the Red Bulls, actually.
So for Ferrari, the day goes from bad to
drivers.
worse.
Come on, guys.
Flavor now gets by Fratters because Fratters has significant damage to that car, I believe.
Yes, he is.
And there's a fight for second as well. Dragon's crashed out! And it's right in the middle of pit lane, and Fratters very nearly spears into the side of Dragon and coming into pit road. And Dark Rider did! Dark Rider hit him! Dark Rider hit Dragon coming into pit lane! And pit lane is damaged, and now Collie Boy barely voids! Safety car is out! But for Dragon and Dark Rider, the race is over, and this will likely end up being post-race penalties against Dragon for blocking pit lane. Oh, Christ alive.
Pretty obscure way to end your race is blocking pit lane. Really feeling sorry for Dark Rider that really plowed into Dragon. He was sideways on the track.
Alright, and coming into the party right now is XRL Dragon. Dragon, go ahead, make sure your audio is included. Big accident there coming into pit lane. What in the world occurred on that restart?
I lost traction out of the next to last corner, and I was just in I was uncontrolled slide. Absolutely nothing I could do.
Alright, ended up blocking the lane. Another car crashed in. Shame to see it happen. Will you be coming back by any chance to run any other X3 races before the season is over?
I will actually be running in X2 later today. Just to make mention of the fact that I was expecting that something like this would happen, since I am still learning. Complete no assist, which I will be going to for the 2022 season. It's just one of those things where it's kind of relearning the car, getting a little bit of a feel for it, and like I said, it's just something that happens. Just got to learn how to move forward from it.
Alright, thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. Shame to see you knocked out. Also in the party is CCAS Dark Rider. Dark Rider went from bad to worse there. Interesting strategy called upon the mediums, but you got caught in the middle, involved in a multi-car incident in turn 3, and then an accident coming in pit lane. What happened from your perspective?
I just thought it was the better tyres to be on. I couldn't keep up with Extreme anyway, which was far too quick, so I thought I'd switch to the mediums and run the strategy. Going into the turn 3, get the overtake done on Mr. Shark, and then it was just parked cars, and I said hello to them basically. Conceded all the positions back, waited to go in the pits, and then there was just a stranded car on entry. There was, with no wing damage, like no wing, there was no way I was avoiding it. No, nothing I could do. It was just, oh, hello. Like the teammate went, oh, someone spun in the pit lane. Bang. Yeah, me too. So, unfortunate it was going so well. Highest qualifying for P2. So I was really impressed with it. And then I held it, and it just faded away so quickly as well. So, racing.
All right, do you think you'll be able to bounce back next week?
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, I did not expect to have this pace tonight, so if we can continue on from this and we can move forward, then yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, thanks for being willing to jump in and talk, because that's a shame to see you knocked out in these kind of scenarios.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right, so we're down, Peasy, at this point in this race, we're down to 17 cars. Big thing, the Manufacturers' Championship, though. One Ferrari left, running in second. The other two Ferraris running first and eighth right now. I mean, the other AlphaTauris, they're running first and eighth right now. This is setting up to be a great points day for the AlphaTauri team.
Yeah. Looking at the standings right now, it's the small Italian team actually beating, well, points-wise, the great Italian team. This is really David versus Goliath. Except Goliath has only one side of his body.
Oh, there's been an instant! Oh my goodness! And Jet backs up Schumacher. Schumacher jumped on the brakes. Ocean Lion had nowhere to go. He ran into the back. Now Snake has damage. PRUFC has damage. Flavor has damage. There's about 6-7 cars in the top 10 who all have wing damage now from Jet backing up the field too much under the safety car.
Oh, there he goes again. Trying to field restarts the race.
Yeah, Snake and PRUFC and Flavor all have to pit. So it's Jet, Schumacher, Ocean Lion, Nissan Extreme in the top positions. Extreme now fifth with fresh medium tires, so this race has basically fallen right into his lap. Oh, big twitch by Gusty behind, and there's contact between Dave and Veloce. They're 3 wide for the 6th position. Oh, someone's gonna have to pull out. Who's gonna pull out? No one's pulling out.
Veloce pulling out. Switch back from the Williams. He's attempting it. Gusty's still ahead, but Veloce is looking inside. Turn 4.
And the Haas is still there as well. Under braking.
Veloce takes it.
Gusty tried to pin him down, but the hard tires do not have the grip necessary. Veloce gets by.
This could have gone wrong, but these 3 drivers made it clean. Decent piece of driving there.
Extreme F1 has just gotten by Wild Nissan, and now Schumacher's just gotten by Jet. Jet has had an accident. He crashes out of the race lead and is stalled on pit lane entrance. And that's a VSC, and Jet now knocked out of the race from an accident out of the top spot, and now Schumacher and Extreme F1 are first and third with Veloce in fifth, and again the race turns another strange way.
Really weird how turn 9 is now the Achilles heel of most drivers when it comes to losing the car.
I think what's happening, though, is that we have drivers, they know that there are now restrictions on coming into pit lane, and they're altering their lines, or at least trying to alter their lines, and it's kind of throwing them off. All right, we're green underway now. Coming to the party is Jet. Jet, go ahead and include your audio. You had the lead, and now you're here. What in the world happened?
Tires just degraded it too much, and we came a little bit too fast and spun and lost everything.
Absolute travesty to see that. Your teammate is still running third, though, so there is still a hope when it comes to the Manufacturers' Championship. But you had a great run. Do you think you can repeat at least the run you were having next week?
Hopefully. What track is it next week? Yeah, I should be able to keep next space, so hopefully I'll have a bit more luck there, but just a little bit pissed off in the moment.
I can't blame you, mate. But shame to see you knocked out like that. Thankfully, no one else ended up spearing to the side of you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being willing to jump in and be honest about what happened, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so yeah. Well, we turn our focus now back to the race. Extreme F1 has caught Schumacher SF7, so Schumacher has clean air, but it doesn't matter. His tires are 10 laps older than Extreme F1. Extreme has been the fastest man all day, full stop. And by the looks of it, Extreme is going to make an easy DRS overtake on the Ferrari going down the main straightaway here. Well, I thought he would make the DRS overtake down the main straightaway. He's not yet. He might do it on the second
the
straight.
nose in the gearbox. Oh, that was way too close for comfort, but he makes the DRS pass really easy. Turn 2.
But Veloce is not having the greatest time trying to navigate around Ocean Lion, though. Considering that he was up with Ocean Lion and then fell back, had to back out, and that let him fall under pressure again from Gusty.
Sending in into TF, Mr. Shark, in turn 3. I saw that happen looking back with JL Football Williams.
So Ocean Lion now running 4th. He's in a very interesting position because the 3 men ahead of him are all fighting for championship points. Lion is just like, hey, I'm trying to have a good fucking run here. I'm sorry, didn't mean to curse there. He's just like, hey, I want to have a bloody good run. So, yes, his tires are amongst the oldest in the field, but he can just go hard, and if it comes down, push comes to shove, he can really apply a lot more pressure to the 3 men ahead of him than they can do to him.
And also, if he wants to pit, he can alter his line in turn 9 and not be a bother for the guy behind him.
This is true. All right, Gusty has caught Wild Nissan again, using DRS down the second DRS straightaway. It will be an easy open and shut overtake for him.
Oh, Nissan looking a little bit on the outside. Get the 3-second penalty.
And now Nissan has DRS in the following straightaway. But those are some 13 lap worn medium tires, so it took him a bit longer. Doesn't matter. He sends it, an easy overtake. He sends it under braking and gets back by Gusty.
Really brave to do that on the outside. Careful, Gusty. You have the wheel in the grass, buddy. Brilliant stuff by Wild Nissan. Going back on the outside of T4.
Ooh, big twitch by Gusty. So those hard tires are not working the way he was anticipating them to, but Gusty might still have a advantage because he does not have to worry about conserving tires whatsoever. He can go hard to the end of this race. But that car does not look happy on those hards because here comes Herbago now making a run on him.
Really struggling to grip of the hard compound. Ooh, not a really great exit from T1. As Herbago looking inside.
3 wide under braking, contact again, contact 3 times!
Contact
and they're
again.
around, and Herbago's around! And he goes off with Nissan, and Nissan's day just continues to get more and more aggravating. He's had so many, he's been started at the front, he got knocked back, came back up towards the front, now he's been knocked back to 10th, and I think he has wing damage.
The biggest winner in all of this is Boothie, who went from 8th to 5th. In front of Gusty. Not much of a bother going on the inside of T4. For him still being on the soft-compound tires.
There's also a fight for second. Schumacher and Veloce, your championship battle underway. And Herbago's had an accident! The hard tires just could not keep it together, and he has gone off in Sector 3. Yellow flag is out.
Another focal safety car. This is the 4th car we've lost. How many more do you reckon we're gonna lose until the end of the race?
I think we'll probably lose about 3-4 more today. I don't think we're gonna be down to only 10 drivers at the end. I think we'll probably have like 11, 12 running. So I'll say we'll lose 3 or 4 more guys by race in. Well, this does work out a little bit well for Schumacher. If he wants to, he could go ahead and pit and throw on a set of soft tires. The downside, though, is that he will have to really stretch those softs as far as possible, and he's going to be buried near the back of the grid when he does so. And for Extreme F1, I think this kind of puts his race win in jeopardy because now Veloce, the only man who's been able to match him in pace, is now going to be right behind him on the racetrack. No, and is Veloce coming into pit? Yeah, our top 3, everyone in the podium is pitting.
Top 3 is in. Is Boothie gonna react? Yes, he is. So
what about Gusty? No, Gusty stays out on the hards.
Gusty will be your provisional leader. Fridays goes to pits, as Kelly Boy.
Yeah, our footballer is going to stay out. Ocean Lion, he had just pitted before The yellow flag came out, so he'll obviously stay out. Snake is going to
staying
stay out as well.
As he spins.
Oh, and Snake's crap! Snake's now had a spin on the pit lane entry in turn 9. Oh, you gotta be careful, mate, because there's a Red Bull coming. Is Flavor gonna pit? Flavor's not gonna pit. Now Snake's damaged the front wing, trying to 39-point turn that car around, and he will have to pit now. He was gonna stay out, but now he has to pit. Nissan is going to stay out, and TF Mr. Shark will probably stay out as well. So Gusty on hard tires is now your race leader. JR Footballer in second on medium tires is now, he's second. And now it's Extreme F1, Schumacher SF7, Veloce, and Ocean Lion, third through 6 on soft tire compounds.
Mr. Shark on pit
really
lane.
weird.
And yeah, talking about Gusty leading the race, we've watched how much of a struggle this car is with the hard compound tires. With faster drivers behind him, this is really looking like a recipe for attrition. So I'm expecting.
Yeah,
I
Mr.
Shark
I
on
think
hard
out of those,
compound.
I think out of those top 6, we're probably going to see 2 of those top 6 crash out between now and race in. Because Extreme F1, Schumacher, Veloci, and Ocean Lion are going to have to conserve those soft tire compounds like mad. They're going to be way faster for the next few laps, but they're going to have to go really hard on conservation. Footballer is on tires with 8 laps of wear on them. That's about the time the mediums start falling off. He's not going to make those mediums last to the end. He's going to have to pit, or he's going to have to hammer so much position it won't matter. Gusty is in a really, really good position when it comes to tire strategy, but those hards don't look happy. Again, everyone from 1st to 6th, I think we're going to probably see 2 of those drivers not either spinning, crashing, or DNFing before this race is over, because they have all put themselves in a really, really bad position when it comes to tire life. I think the man who's in the best scenario right now, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I think it's Boothie. Boothie is having a very uncharacteristic race. Boothie is normally known to show up, do amazing in qualifying, and then just kind of fall off the map in the race. He's had a horrible qualifying, but he's been one of the best drivers thus far today. If he keeps his nose clean with those medium tires, he's going to be the fastest man by the end of this race. He has no time penalties right now. I think Boothie has a chance to either pull out a podium or maybe even a win.
As I've seen so far, Boothie's an absolute rocket on wheels. He was an absolute man on a mission coming from the back of the field. Now in the points and when as high as 4th. So yeah, he really is the outsider looking in, as it stands.
So right now we're just waiting for TF Mr. Shark, who is in 15th, to catch up to the back of the grid. So I don't think we're probably going to see the green flag until maybe lap 22. So it'll be about 14, 15 lap sprint to the end of this race. With that in mind, I mean, we're barely past halfway. I really don't see... Gusty can make it to the end on tires. I know that. But I don't know if he can keep that car under him. That car has been absolutely evil on the hards. And 2nd through 6th, I see nothing but potential issue there. PRUFC is pitting out of 10th now. So he's saying, look, 9-lap war mediums, I can't make these last to the end of this race. He's going to go ahead and pit. This will put him in the back of the grid, but he's going to go ahead and pit.
Other set of mediums?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the safest options.
Also, at this point in the race, we've had so much yellow, no one has to worry about fuel conservation at this point. Everyone can just absolutely kick the tires and light the fires when it comes to fuel. The big question is just going to be how are you going to manage your ERS and where are you going to be in the DRS trains that are going to inevitably form. And the other question, naturally, is going to be how long can Gusty keep that car under him? Because if Gusty has another really, really rough time on these tires, and he's lost the heat in them, because here's the other thing, track's cool. We have really, really thick cloud cover. There's not been really any sun today. It's been really hard to keep heat into these tires, especially those hards. Gusty, if he struggles with those tires, he might not make it to the end, and then 2nd through 6th, they're not looking good on their tire strategies either. This is gonna get really weird, folks. Yeah, you're telling me you want to go 16 laps, 16 to 17, 18 laps on soft tires when the mediums basically die once they hit 17, 18 laps? You're out of your bloody mind. But that's the position we're in right now, and track position is so bloody important. right, coming to the line now. Gusty, footballer, Extreme F1. We know Extreme's been the fastest man all day. What can he do on the restart? Oh, and Mr. Shark has had an accident on the front straightaway right out the restart. We stay green. And here comes Extreme F1 trying to drag race KR footballer into turn 3. Can't make it stick. Oh, but he's got a good line on exit.
Oh.
And there he is, he's by. Soft tires just so much better than those worn mediums.
He might be defending his Haas. Opens the door for the other one.
Boothie just needs to keep those Haas's behind him as long as possible. The more and more cars that get by Boothie, the worse position he's going to be in. To the end of this race, side-by-side Aston Martin versus Haas, and Boothie just barely keeping the nose ahead, trying to do a crossover as Dave. He looks to the inside, looks to the outside, side-by-side as they come into turn number 9. And Boothie holds the position for the moment. Gonna try and get Mr. Shark into here now that we've kind of settled down a bit. Extreme F1 has already closed up within 5/10 of Gusty, and Schumacher has gotten by. Footballer, here comes Veloce, and Veloce with a 3-wide pass. He had his teammate here. Footballer run the Ferrari off the track, left the main line open. That was some incredible teamwork, and now Veloce is ahead of his championship rival.
It's not much, but it's still 3 points.
Extreme F1 right behind Gusty. Extreme has the faster tires, but we don't know if his tires will last to the end. For Gusty, he knows, and he's around! Gusty spins out of the lead! And that's it for him! Chance at the race win is gone! And now, it goes back to Boothie, but Boothie is not having the pace that he was showing earlier. He's still stuck in 7th and not really closing on the people ahead. I don't know who's gonna win right now.
But looking at the penalties, your winner might be Veloce if you can stay in touch with Extreme F1.
He doesn't care about staying in touch. He is in DRS rank. He wants to blast by this man. Veloce, one of the fastest all day, has not been able to lead laps after a crash in Q3 and has just been caught in some instances today, but he is flying, and he has been the only man been able to answer Extreme F1, but Schumacher in 3rd is not ready to let this thing go without a fight. The question, of course, in the top 4 drivers is tires. Can any of them make these soft tires last to the end of this race? Because right now, our top 4 are going to be saying some amazing laps, but in a few laps here, they're going to start hurting, and they're going to have to keep hurting for about another 10 laps. For Veloce, he doesn't need to be ahead of Extreme F1, but it would be preferable. Because here's the thing, Veloce is better when it comes to time penalties, but the longer you run in someone else's draft, the harder it is to maintain your lines through the corners, and the worse the tire wear is going to be due to the aero wake. So for Veloce, he needs to get by the AlphaTauri to make put his tires in the best position. Here he comes, down on the inside, neck and neck for 3. Williams versus AlphaTauri drag race down the straightaway. Veloce still has DRS here, and this should give him the position unless Extreme F1 wants to go harder into braking. He can't. Veloce now into the lead. The longer the top 2, though, keep fighting. Look at Extreme F1. He sends it, and he's around, and Extreme F1 spins right in front of Schumacher. Schumacher has to go off circuit to avoid, and this will promote Frater is now up into 2nd position. And the man who has dominated the race today, Extreme F1, goes around. And now, the Manufacturers' Championship at least goes back in the hands of the Ferrari team. And the gap between Veloce and Frater is over 4 seconds, and Frater is now still holding Schumacher behind him. I think that's it. I think if Veloce is just clever and smart enough, he's going to win this race because he can just manage those tires to the end of this event. Nissan and Boothie both pitting, so Boothie took damage.
Schumacher knows he can attack. He has enough yards to do so.
Fratter's really, really iffy on the ERS right now. He's only going to have about 0% by the time he gets to the line, it will feel like. Here comes Schumacher diving to the inside, but it's more of a method to try and deny the Mercedes the inside line rather than an actual overtake attempt. Gusty has just set the fastest lap back there in 13th position. But the fight is for second right now between Fratters and Schumacher. Schumacher will have the advantage, and Boothie's out! Boothie crashes out in Sector 2. Fresh tires, and that's a full course safety car. And for Veloce, and Veloce is going to be so upset about this, because for Veloce, he was in a position he was going to walk off with this race win. Now, he's going to have to fight again for it.
We've had an incident on the start-finish line with Schumacher just plowing into the diffuser of Fratters in front of him.
And your points leader, Schumacher, has wing damage. So Fratters reacted to the safety car before Schumacher did, and Schumacher ran to the back of him. So now Schumacher, he's going to have to pick. The good news is he'll be in a better tire condition than the drivers around him. The bad news is he's going to have to make so many overtakes. I don't see it happening. So again, I think this might have just given a win, potentially, to either Veloce or maybe Collie Boy. The thing is, Collie Boy is back there in 5th, and he has time penalties. Veloce doesn't. But if our top 3 all decide to pit, that's going to randomize things as well. Because we know these soft tires won't be happy to the end of this. Well, we're going to have to see in a few seconds here. Who pits, who doesn't.
The thing is, for now, I'm putting my money on probably XRL Dave. Because he has the least amount of time penalty, 3 seconds only, but he is ahead of his teammate, Collie Boy. So
and Fratters and Schumacher are both pitting. Both of the Haas's stay out. JR Footballer stays out. Ocean Lion is going to go ahead and pit. PR UFC stays out. Snake is too far back to really make a call right now. So for Schumacher and Fratters, they're going to come out in the 6th and 7th positions, which is not the worst, and they're going to have way better tires than everyone else. But they're going to have to really, really kick the tires and like the
Ocean Lion just jumped the Ferrari in the pits as he was changing his front wing.
Well, now, look at this. Schumacher back in 9th. Actually going to be in 10th potential. No, it'll be in 9th. Yeah, Schumacher now back in 9th. His championship rival, Veloce, leading. The way it looks, unless Veloce makes a mistake, Veloci's going to walk out here with the championship lead.
But in some way, that will also help Extreme F1 to maybe climb back into the points.
Well, again, the AlphaTauri had a 10-point advantage over the Ferrari team in the Manufacturers' Championship. Schumacher started in 9th. If he stays there to the end, that's only 2 points, so AlphaTauri would still have the leg up in the Manufacturers' standings. And we don't really know how the rest of this race is going to play out. Field's still relatively spread out. We're probably not going to see the green flag until about lap 30, so it will be a 6 to 7 lap sprint to the end of this race. And this is going to get really interesting because I'm looking here. Dave, his tires are going to be really, really bad. Collie Boy has the best tires, but he has time penalties and has just not kept pace with Veloce today. Footballer has 17 lap worn mediums. I'm honestly shocked he didn't decide to pit. So he's going to immediately start hemorrhaging positions. I think PRUFC is in a good position. He's probably going to walk out here with points because those tires will last him to the end of this race. I think what we're probably going to see on this restart, Veloce is going to try push hard on the tires for the first 2 or 3 laps, get out of DRS range of the Haas drivers. Let 2nd, 3rd, and 4th all kind of fade away, spin out, crash out, whatever, due to tire issues.
Well,
I think PRUFC is going to inherit 2nd, and then it's going to be between Fratters, Lion, Snake, Schumacher to fight for the remaining podium positions.
Schumacher and Fratters with both 6-second time penalties. The battle is going to mostly be between Ocean Lion, and X-Or Snake. Well, still clear of anything. So if you're a driver that does not have any time penalty, the only thing you want is to keep it clean until the end.
Yeah. Also, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Gusty, who was leading on those hard tires and spun out, he's still running in 12th, but he is on medium tires that will last to the end of this race. And the 3 drivers ahead of him have a bunch of time penalties. If Gusty doesn't make any mistakes, Gusty could still walk out here with some points for the Alfa Romeo team today. So it's gone bad for Gusty, but he might still be able to salvage something decent out of this race. All right, Veloce versus Dave versus Boy. How far is the Williams going to push his tires to get out of DRS range from the Haas's? That's going to be the question. Coming to the green flag. 7 laps to go at the Red Bull Ring. Oh, big twitch by Dave out of turn 1. PRUFC is right there behind Footballer, so he immediately wants to start making positions. He knows that he has the tire advantage at the moment. PRUFC is saying, hey, look, if I make these positions fast enough, I could potentially walk out of here with the victory. He's going around the outside of the Williams. I don't know if you're going to be able to make that stick, mate. Oh, he's sticking with it. And he's out-dragged him. PRUFC up in the 4th now.
Only getting better. Really feels like now the Aston Martin team really had a strong pace today.
So now PRUFC needs to close in on the Haas's ahead. Dave is still within 1 second of Veloce. He's trying to stay in DRS range. He has to keep him in tow, but he has a big twitch out of turn 1, nearly wrecks himself. He's now out of the 1 second range, and here comes his teammate Boy for a position. And now here comes Fratters on JR Footballer for the 5th spot. Dives on the inside, Williams versus Mercedes. Neck and neck, Williams runs a little bit offline. Now that opens up for Snake to try and make something happen. Dive bomb to the inside, but the Mercedes thinks better of it because he makes the Williams miss his braking line in 4, side by side through 5, into this really technical section. Someone has to back out, and will still be Snake.
And JR Football had the advantage of having the inside line, at least for this portion of the track, so right now he is safe, but watch out, Snake will have the DRS to attack it. He is much closer to JR Football than Football is to Fratters.
DRS has been kicked on. Veloce out of DRS range from the Haas's, so this race is his, assuming that PRUFC can't run them down in these last 5 laps.
The problem is PRUFC is
losing. Contact! Alpine and Mercedes, JR Football and Snake made contact, and Schumacher says, thank you very much, I'll take that. He goes up into 7th. And Schumacher now is behind Footballer, and Footballer is on very, very worn medium tires. Schumacher is on fresh softs. This should be an easy overtake just because he can push those tires way more. Schumacher now up into 6th. Schumacher in full damage control mode right now.
Looks like PRUFC is losing ground to both Haas's in front of them.
In fact, Boy actually seems to be closing on Veloce. Is Veloce's tires falling off the cliff? Right now, 12-lap worn mediums will be faster than 12-lap worn softs. And we anticipate that PRUFC would be faster, but he may have burned those tires up a lot more anticipated. It might be Haas versus Williams for this win. But again, Boy has time penalties, Veloce doesn't. I think this win will still likely go to Veloce. Also, Boy has basically burned his ERS drive. Veloce is cruising around with about a third of it full,
there's a lot of
while
movement
Boy barely has 20.
in the back of the field. For some reason, I almost saw 4 cars going 4 wide into 3.
Here comes Extreme F1. He's now back into the points, trying to recover the AlphaTauri's day. He's looking to try and find a way by Footballer. Yeah, the decision to stay on those mediums to the end has been absolutely disastrous. Schumacher now by Fratters, so that promotes the Ferrari up into 5th.
Again, time penalty.
Call It Boy is within 6/10. He's going to have DRS. We're going to see a fight for this win between a Haas and a Williams. The problem is, though, Collie Boy is burning up all his ERS. He basically has almost nothing ERS-wise to fight with. He's doing sheer DRS runs right now. Collie has the advantage in tires, but Veloce has the advantage in time penalties. Here comes the dive bomb. Haas to the inside. Williams is like, okay, you can have it. I'll take DRS on the following straightaway. That's exactly what happens. Outstanding choice by Veloce, intentionally giving the position to the Haas in the detection zone so that way he can have DRS on the following straightaway. Now Schumacher gets by PRUFC. So Schumacher up in the 4th now, and PRUFC spins and out of the top 5 positions. Well, and with that in mind, that's it. It's Veloce's race to lose now. Collie Boy can keep putting pressure on him. Collie Boy is gradually closing the ERS advantage in his favor in sectors 2 and 3, but then you get to sector 1 and it goes right back in favor of Veloce, and that ERS seems to be the only thing that's really helping that Williams with this. Here comes Collie Boy again. Are we going to see some DRS shenanigans in the braking zone? Yeah, Collie Boy had the run, but he intentionally didn't go by because he wants DRS on this straightaway as well. Veloce does not have time penalties. Collie Boy needs Veloce to either get some time penalties or make a mistake, otherwise this win will still go to him. Contact between Haas and Williams, under braking, side by side in 4, contact, they both run each other wide. And now Schumacher is up in the 3rd.
Yeah, I believe Dave really burnt up everything that was decent enough in his tires because he could not keep pace with his teammate at the beginning, and now he's getting past.
White flag in the air. Right now, Schumacher is just close enough that if they were to finish where they are now, Schumacher might walk out here tied with Veloce for the championship lead. What he needs is Veloce to make a mistake. He is probably Collie Boy's biggest fan right now. Oh boy, this is going to get interesting. Collie Boy is right there. He's within 1/3 of a second. How aggressively is he going to attack the Williams?
Doesn't have much ERS.
He runs into the back of him! And now Ferrari runs into him! And Veloce jumped on the brakes, and all 3 drivers in the top spot get into each other, and that promotes Dave into the frame. Now Collie Boy trying to run back down to Veloce. He's not going to be happy about that. Schumacher wants that position now, can't make it stick. Or can he? He does! He's got to squeeze by the Haas at the last possible moment. And Veloce is going to walk out here with this race win. Barely, but he will do it with some really crazy shenanigans.
I believe her podium will be Veloce, Dave, and Extreme F1, as these guys are as Dave and Extreme F1 are the only guys with the least amount of... Oh, and Collie Boy lets his teammate pass before turn 9.
Now it looks like Schumacher is going to be knocked down to 4th, so that's it. Championship fight now goes in the favor of Veloce, and Extreme F1 in 5th means that he minimizes the amount of closing that the Ferrari does today. And Dave, with those 21 lap-borne medium tires on penalty countback, walks out of here with a 2nd.
Looking at the standings now, Veloce 1st and Schumacher 4th. That means Veloce has only a singular point advantage in the driver championship. Sorry, 3 points.
Try and get our top 4 finishers into the party real quickly here. Alright, and come on, Veloce, please jump in. Come on, Veloce, please jump in. Trying to get our podium finishers into the party here real quickly. Okay, well, while we're waiting on our race winner to get in at least, we can go ahead and talk to Dave, who walks out of here with a 2nd place position. Dave, that was a run to say the least. What do you have to say about that today?
Yeah, it was a great race. I think I could have maybe had a chance of winning that if I hadn't damaged my wing. I had to pit, but second place I'm more than happy with.
Yeah, you get both on a combination of just better time penalty management and a much, much better strategy today. And you, not just that, the entire Haas team as a whole, you guys were running top 7 pretty much all day today, so outstanding job there as well.
Yeah, my teammate did well. He just an extra penalty just ruined his finish. He dropped him to 8th, but he did well.
Alright, well, just don't include your audio then, I guess. Alright. Also, we've not been able to get in contact with Snake either, which is kind of a shame. 1 second. Veloce is... Yeah, Veloce can't seem to get a party invite for whatever reason. I don't understand why. Okay, well, by the way, Dave, outstanding job today, mate. Great to see you turn this day from a great qualifying run to a great race finish. Hopefully we can see more of this from you in the future, mate. I want to hear from Veloce, but it's not letting him... 1 second. Join me. Tell him to join me. Veloce needs to start saying himself online so that way the invites actually go through. Well, anyways, I do want to say real quickly, Gusty, in the end, will get a point for fastest lap of the race. The only man at the end of this event to set 105.292. In the top 10 positions, though, it looks like it will be Veloce, I think, who will walk out here with fastest points. 1 second. Oh, there we are. And now Veloce coming in. Alright. Veloce, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Alright. Yeah, you need to start saying yourself online after the race is over so I can invite you in. I think that's where the problem is. But go ahead, include your audio, Veloce. Accident in Q3. You spent a lot of this race mired in the midfield. In the end, you're going to walk out here with not only the win, but also the points lead. Walk us through that race from your perspective.
Well, after turn 1, I got a really good start and was up to P8 straight away, and then it was just slowly picking off people and pissy at the right time until I was on the back of Schumacher and Extreme when I was in the front 3, and then they had a penalty, and my plan was just to try and stick with them and just win them penalties because I didn't want to push too much and crash, really.
Well, I do want to say this. The biggest decision, the biggest thing from you, you ran that final set of soft tires about halfway through that. You really, really squeezed that last set of soft tires. How in the world did you keep those alive?
I didn't really. I just kind of didn't pit because I didn't think the people behind me pit, and then I saw the medium runners stay out, and I was like, "Oh, you legends!" But yeah, I think if they pitted, I would have definitely fallen back.
All right, well, you walk out here.
Not pitting. You would have had. You were on 16 lap old sauce, and I'm like, there's no way.
I was only like 45% at the end anyway, so. But it was just the pace was very much falling off at the end.
No. Either way, Veloce, outstanding drive today. Might not have shown it in qualifying, but that race really showed why you were a title contender. You're going to walk out here with the points lead with 4 races left. Go get them, mate.
I'll try, thank you.
All right, and that's the word from Veloce, your race winner here at Red Bull Ring. In about an hour's time on the main channel, PZ French Fry Man and I will be bringing you the X2 race at the exact same track. Then next week, the next X3 event will be running at 5 p.m. UK time per usual. Until then, though, I'm your host, Insane Leader 13. I want to say thank you for jumping in and watching our race today, and goodbye.